At the top of the program, we told you why about 700,000 Dreamers are very concerned about their fate. Now, they're caught in the political football that is getting punted around Washington as we speak. Now, we wanted to put a human face on this, and for that, we are joined by two people who deal with this situation every day and in very personal ways. Carola Otero Bracco, she's executive director of Neighbors Link. It's a group in Mount Kisco that helps immigrants integrate into our communities. And also, we're joined again by Lisdy Contreras-Giron. She a dreamer who was born in Guatemala and brought here when she was only 5 years old. Right now, she's studying criminal justice at Pace University, and she plans to attend law school. Now, due to a recent court order, she will be able to reapply in November, but still, obviously very concerned about all the uncertainty around the DACA program. Now, Lisdy was even invited to meet President Obama at the White House after she won an academic competition in high school. Ladies, thank you very much for the time.
Thank you.
So, listen, for weeks we've been talking about just the raw number, 700,000 people, March deadline, but I think too often for this, people use a term and a number, but they won't put a face or a life to it. Lisdy, you were kind enough to join us months ago here. Tell everybody what it's like living with the uncertainty every day, and you're even a little bit more fortunate than some because you can reapply in November, but yourself, friends that are going through this, whose really the only country they ever remember is the United States. What's it like waiting for some kind of decision out of Washington that really could change your life?
Right. So for the past couple of months, it's been very scary. You wake up each day, and with DACA, you wake up each day and you look in the mirror and you're ready to face your day. But the past couple of months, it's like you're looking in a mirror, but you don't know if you're going to be able to, what's going to happen that day. If you're going to face deportation, if you're going to be able to go to school normally, or proceed through your day. It's looking into a mirror and seeing your reflection, but not really knowing what's going to happen. So it's been very scary. Your fate is in a limbo. You are always just kind of anxious, waiting to see or hear recent news and see, what's going to happen tomorrow, because there's nothing secure about the next day.
And while it's not just DACA, and I'll talk about more on that, Carola, it's also, I hear these stories about people afraid not just for what happens to them, but their parents, families being broken apart, literally keeping kids out of school because they're afraid when's ICE going to come here, or when are we going to be broken apart, or when do I have to go into hiding. It's unbelievable, especially when we're talking about kids who come here who don't even speak the language of where they may be sent back to.
It really is unbelievable, and it's important to remember that most of the families that live in this country that have a DACA recipient or a TPS recipient among them actually have family members with a variety of different statuses. So we're talking about individuals that might have one parent is a naturalized U.S. citizen, another parent might be a DACA recipient or have TPS. Their children might have been born in this country, so they're U.S. citizens. So what's going to happen to that whole family unit if they get ripped apart is a real concern for us in this country. I think we have to be very concerned about the young children who may lose a parent through this process.
It was interesting. I had a conversation last night with someone who was conflicted about this and about with immigration reform, who should stay, who should. But he told me he saw a video clip about a father who had lived in the U.S. for 30 years out of Michigan, who had to say goodbye to his family, and he was being deported. And by all accounts, community, he was a taxpayer, he had contributed, he was probably more patriotic than anybody on the block, but he was being sent back. And he said that really changed, this person I was talking to, their opinion. There's not one size fits all, I know that, Lisdy, but the one thing I've been impressed by is anybody who's given a shot here, that's come here, that at least I've come in contact with, they're the folks probably working the 3 jobs. They're the ones, I said, dad's gonna tell his kid to take his hat off at the baseball game when they're doing the anthem, that kind of a thing. I know there's generalizations, but more often than not, if people got to meet Dreamers, what kind of impression would they walk away with?
Right. So dreamers like myself, we are working those 2-3 jobs to get through school. We are volunteering in our communities. We are, engaged in our, everyday communities. We are, imperative parts of our communities.
And what do you want? Do you want just to stay? Are you looking, people think, oh, they want something special here. What do you want?
I mean, all we want is, the opportunity to work towards achieving our American dream, whatever that may be for each individual. All we're asking for is a shot to be at a level playing field with everybody else and have the opportunity to just work towards achieving our dreams, our aspirations. We've grown up with everybody, living by the system. We've grown up accustomed to the traditions, the culture of this country, and we just want to, I think more than anything, I speak for many when I say, also call ourselves American citizens. For us, that's very important.
And to give an idea, perversity of this, you're talking about somebody who was recognized by a president for academic achievement and worked in the Attorney General's office. So we're talking about laws being debated to send her back. Now, sending you back would be to Guatemala. What connections do you have to Guatemala?
Yeah, so I have not been to Guatemala since I moved to the United States. I have
And again, that was age 5, right?
That was age 5. I have very limited memories of Guatemala. Spanish has become my second language, so my ties to the country are very minimal.
To that end, Carola, there's also the argument, and we've seen it play out now with Salvadorans and also Haitians got a rude message. For folks who had temporary protected status, and let's be clear, whether they were displaced here by natural disasters, earthquake, hurricanes, whatever the case may be, or strife and violence in that country, now all of a sudden people are saying, and I think you don't have to be cynically to say certain countries and certain protections are being limited, you got to go back home. Talk about what some of these folks are going back to, because especially with what I'm reading about for Salvador, not only are they going back to a different, but they're being targeted, some of these folks, when they go back because they're seen as the enemy.
That's right. And let's remember that these are people that in this country, they have mortgages, they're running businesses, they're entrepreneurs, they're creating jobs by owning businesses, they are parents, they're part of the community. So to rip them out of that and that stability that they've created for themselves and now send them back to a country that has absolutely no infrastructure to receive them. In El Salvador, we have 200,000 people with TPS in this country. To send back 200,000 people to a country that has tremendous violence, no infrastructure, El Salvador is a very densely populated country, it is ludicrous.
It's, to me at least, it's a solution in search of a problem, which is, I didn't hear that we had a crisis with those 200,000 people in this country before. I didn't hear that we had a crisis with 700,000 Dreamers before. That's the part, and they didn't know this was coming either. It's not like people have been planning for this, right?
That's right, and there's no crisis among these two groups of people that we're talking about. And in fact, they have gone through significant security screenings in order to be recipients of DACA and to be recipients of TPS. So there is certainly no fear in this country about their role as contributing members of our society.
Last thing, if I could bring a member of Congress or even the president, and I said, all right, stay with these two ladies for a day. They're going to take you around. They're going to introduce you to Dreamers. They're going to introduce you to people whose statuses are now in question. What do you think they'd walk away with in terms of an impression that may be different from when the day had started?
I would just say that they would recognize the extent to which this is the future workforce of this country. This is what our economy hinges on, especially as our population ages. They would walk away understanding that the future of this country hinges on these individuals.
And I think that they would also recognize the determination that, these individuals, including myself, have. We have grown up facing adversity in all aspects of our lives. So this is nothing new to us. And I think the the resilience that we've built from this experience makes us stronger. It makes us more committed, it makes us more passionate, and it makes us more motivated to work every day and to contribute.
Clearly you're resilient, but before I end this, you're also scared, right?
I'm scared. I mean, the Dreamers, we've been, political pawns for the past couple of months. Decisions are, there's deals that are being made, and our lives are at the hands of Congress. And it's scary. It's scary because, I don't want to leave this country, and I don't want to go back. And there's nothing that I can do right now. Nothing's in my control. And my life is at the fate of the Congress representatives right now. So.
And what struck me out of this was you didn't decide to come, and you don't get to decide to stay. And every decision basically is being made for you, except you're now being talked about going back to a place you don't even know.
Right. But although I didn't decide to come, I am so grateful to be here. I love this country. This is an incredible country that provides so much opportunity, and all we're asking for is a shot.
Well, we're going to find out soon enough in Washington. Hopefully there's some clarity here, and hopefully for your sake, and I think also for the country as a whole here, sanity will prevail. Let's hope. Ladies, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Coming up next, everyone, the president announced his fake news awards last night, even though I think there's some other pressing issues to do. Had a good laugh about it. We're going to tell you why, in the end, it really isn't so funny, and it's all part of a pattern that's dangerous when it comes to the country and facts. Stay with us.